One of the main drivers for change is often the need to improve the candidate experience in order to attract and retain them, as we talked about earlier. Does this more direct relationship enhance their satisfaction and reduce any confusion that contractors have having to deal with multiple different contact points? Does it actually help talent attraction? Ian?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, I would say in my experience, yes. You know, the fact is that having talent acquisition teams from the organization directly reach out to the candidate, I think is a great first step, because the fact is that the organization is saying, you know, we're interested in you rather than coming through a third party that we're trying to push or not, or we've identified you for shortlisting for that organization. So I think definitely from a TA perspective, being able to reach out, engage with that candidate, understand the business, be able to provide the information to that candidate about, you know, why the roles come around, what the hiring population looks like, you know, what the team will look like, you know, what's the brand, what's the culture of the organization, and then what the interview process will, you know, and be that one point of contact for that candidate through the resourcing cycle. You know, I think it has a much stronger impression and a much stronger process. Obviously, you have to deliver what you said. I mean, that is also the difference, because now you have your brand in the market. You know, you represent an organization, you've gone out to that candidate and you've said, this is what's going to happen, and we'll take you through these steps. Now, those steps need to be completed, because otherwise then you could have a danger of actually taking what is a positive into a negative experience. And so I would say from my experience with the organizations I've worked with, they've definitely seen a greater engagement. You know, they see a better turnaround with regards to attraction of candidates. They see a better increase with regards to candidates actually getting through to interview and offer stage. And when they're talking about in surveys compared to coming through third parties, they've also had a much better journey. So the fact is, I would say it's been a more positive candidate experience. And as you know, as we're in a competitive war on talent, you know, everything that we can do to improve that candidate journey. And as I said before, is that just if that candidate doesn't get a role, for example, because, you know, they're a silver medalist or for whatever reason, they still had a good experience with that organization, which means that they're more likely to be interested in either entering the talent pool or then being a returning contact maybe a year, 2 years down the line.
Ian, I was just thinking whilst you were talking then and adding into it, I think there's been a bit of a disservice done to some talent attraction teams from some of the legal advisors in some respects. And by that, what I mean is often they've been told that they very much must treat contractors differently to how they treat permanent employees with things like IR35 and all that, you know, not that we want to drift into that area. And I agree with that completely. And we have to try and tread a very thin line of giving that compliance firewall to a business where we are a supplier who's managing those workers. So we've got that distance and the contracts say as such, indemnities. But there's absolutely no reason why the hiring experience, the onboarding experience can't be a good one with plenty of value add. So I think getting the best of both worlds and being close to the person as they're going through that process and handing them off to a trusted partner, you know, whether that's an MSP or a hybrid solution like ours, should give contractors that experience, because at the end of the day, there's going to be far more of us doing work like contractors moving forward, and lose sight of that experience for this large part of your workforce at your peril.
Completely agree.
The question we have on this, certainly on the hard saving side, is we've talked about cost saving and cost control and management throughout. Have you found cost savings, real cost savings in managing new contractor populations? We can see the benefits of doing it, being closer to them, getting the brand to them and engaging directly, but does it make real cost savings in the process?
Well, I mean that's a good question, but yes, it does, in the sense that it depends on a variety of factors. The fact is, it depends on your TA function and setup. What's the capacity of the TA team to take on contingent hiring? Would you need to add additional headcount if you were going to do contingent hiring? The fact is that, you know, normal margins on what, and this is why I focus on white collar populations. You know, your normal margin that you see from a supplier is, you know, 15-20% markup, and so that's the margin you're saving. Obviously, there is a cost that is paid to a third-party supplier to do the onboarding piece and to do the contracting element. But as I say, it depends on what the capacity is within the TA function and to be able to support on the contingent element. But yes, in real terms, you do see a cost saving element.
Yeah, and I'd agree with that. We wouldn't be able to sell our solution in place unless there was return on investment to customers. I mean, the customer has to engage with it though properly. So I think the big benefit we've seen is if you engage properly with those hiring managers, they buy into the process. Just the visibility point allows for savings, because the biggest saving is understanding how many you've got and how many do you need, and therefore who can you get rid of, or at least manage the assignment lengths better. That's the big cost saving. You've then got the time saving back in that we've spoken about several times, and also properly managing the suppliers in that chain as well. If you pay in a large margin to a recruitment business whose fundamental role is to do the talent attraction, then let those guys focus on doing the talent attraction and take some of the headaches away from them, like cash flow pressure, timesheeting, pre-employment checking, and let those guys focus on what they want to do really, which is find good people for you and let someone else handle the rest of it.
Okay, thank you guys.